Hey everybody, we're back here at the wheel. Time to spin this and find out. I only have a few games left. We're almost to October and I'm still playing games from the summer. Yes, it's the one I wanted. Yes, Archon. Okay, now we're in business. Let's do this like Buddhists. Okay. So, we're finally getting around to reviewing Archon Classic. Now, the question of this entire review has to be, and will continually be, do I love this as much as the original? Well, I'll answer that right now. No, sort of. It's complicated. We'll put it that way. That's the relationship status with this game. It's complicated. Anyway, it's true. It's true. But before we just go, full bore into what this game, into how I feel about this game compared to the many, many hours of extremely happy memories I have from my childhood playing this game, which, you talk about putting a thumb on the scales. My childhood has the scales for this review in a headlock, and they are not letting go. So yeah, my childhood is, weighing heavily on this, pun intended, pun based on the metaphor based on, I don't know, my brain, I guess. Anyway, it's a little bit late. We're a little bit loopy. Just roll with it. Appreciate that this review is going to be a little loopy. So, anyway, Archon Classic. Here's the deal. Let's talk about what this game is. Let's talk about what it does, and then let's compare it to the original. And then we'll put a final score on it, and then we'll stop talking for a minute. No, just kidding. Actually, when the mic switches off, that's when I really start talking. It's when the mic's off. Oh boy, if you could hear what I say when the mic's off. Well, anyway, let's not imagine. Let's do it. No, I'm kidding. So, ladies and gentlemen, here's what Archon is, as you are no doubt already seeing. The comparison to chess is unavoidable in that it looks a lot like chess, and it plays a lot like chess, kind of, sort of, a little bit, but also not in special fun ways. Because in chess, when one piece lands on top of another piece, that piece takes the other piece, just automatically wins against that other piece. And that is not the case with Archon. Archon, you go to a battle arena where you fight to the death. And even though you're the piece that landed, that's you challenging the other piece. That's not you automatically taking the other piece. You might lose. And so you need to take that into account. And so it becomes much harder. In chess, a pawn could take a bishop any old day of the week, and it wouldn't be that remarkable. All he has to do is move to the right spot. But in Archon, it's a little more tricky than that because you have to win in close combat against the other piece. You go to a battle arena and you fight to the death. And each piece has its own special move. And in Archon Classic, the interesting thing about it is that they've added a wrinkle that is very much not true to the Classic, and I don't know how I feel about it. That is, that when you are in the battle arena, you have a primary move, and you also have a secondary move. And that secondary move, like, I am used to all of the primary moves in Archon. Like, I have spent a ton of time with this game. And so, even though it's an updated version, all of the primary moves are the same. And so, yeah, you'll see me just relying on the primary move because that's how I've been fighting with these pieces since I was like 6, you know? It's been a long time, and I have played a lot of Archon on my 8-bit Atari, my Atari 800 XL, which I'm looking at right now, because I have it, because I own it. I have it in the box. I don't own very many things in box, but I'm telling you right now, my Atari 800 XL, and I think it's a 1050 is the number on the disk drive. Those are both in box, complete in box. I have never, like, really tried to collect anything else in box. I have a few scattered things in box. But it was important to me that my Atari 800 XL be, like, pristine. And indeed it is, and I love it so. Anyway, so I am very, very familiar with all the movement and with all of the primary weapon fire of these pieces. The secondary moves, I'm not prepared for the secondary moves from the CPU, but I'm also not prepared to employ them myself. And as I tried to employ them, frequently, take care of that. There is a smoke detector in my house that is beeping because it's low on batteries, and I can't find which one it is because it's going very long between beeps. So apologies to you if that bothers you. I know it bothers people when people have beeping smoke detectors in the background and they don't acknowledge it or seem to know. Like, huh? What? There's a beep? Like, no. I am very aware. There it is again. No trouble. Anyway, I apologize for the rest of this video and for all of the beeps that you may be hearing. Maybe you don't hear them at all. Maybe my microphone isn't picking them up that well. I hope it's not. But if it is, my apologies to you. Anyway, so, what was I saying? Yeah, these secondary moves, I'm not ready for them. And so I get my butt handed to me more often than not. So there is reason why my gameplay is not so good for a game that I have put so many hours into. And indeed, in the first game, I get my butt handed to me so hard. I just, like, the CPU won by taking all of the power spots. And I just was, unable to do a thing about it. They just marched in and took whatever they want. It was, like facing off against Attila the Hun, really. It was really, it was bad time. It was a bad time. Anyway, but yeah, as for, was it fun? Did I enjoy myself? Yeah, actually, partway through that first game, like, I realized that the CPU was way overpowered. I was playing on normal mode. I was playing on just like, hey, don't give me the easy mode, but don't give me the super insano hard mode either. Like, just give me the regular mode that everybody plays. That's the mode that I'm going to be dealing with. And it smoked me on regular, normal, hardness, normal difficulty settings. It, smoked me bad. Like, so to the point where, after I lost my second night to a golem, that the golem one-hitted me, or not the golem, the goblin one-hitted me, like I was just like, well, I guess I'm not gonna win. Let's just focus on showcasing what the pieces can do. And I tried to do that, so I lost some of those late battles, not because I was, incapable of winning, which I probably was, but because I was just like, well, I'm not going to win. Let's just shoot off a couple rounds in a couple random directions and let this guy take me out in one hit, And then he would, and then we'd be like, well, we saw what that piece does. So, yeah, just know that that's what happened in that first game. But yeah, the secondary powers are interesting. I'm going to need more time with them if I'm ever going to be happy with them, if I'm ever going to be comfortable with them. So that's a thing that definitely needs to be addressed. Here's another thing, is that, like, the pieces are, the modern pieces are interesting. They are pretty good. They look like 2010 indie development is what they look like. And so I am not reminded of, like, I'm not super reminded of the game from my childhood in terms of the look. In terms of the feel, it's actually pretty similar. I remember fighting the controls a little bit, and I was like, oh no, is this bad? And then I remembered being a kid and fighting the controls when I was first learning to play the game, and I was like, oh, okay. It's just a similar learning curve. And I actually did get better over time. And in the second game, I didn't win. I will admit to that. I don't think you'll see the entire gameplay footage. But they had to win by annihilation. In the end, they didn't have enough pieces to cover the power spots. But I was down to just my wizard. And so, like, I gambled, and I was like, ooh, I need to heal either this turn or next turn in order to keep rolling through these pieces and then hopefully win in a showdown with the sorceress. And I didn't heal in the right spot, and so I lost. But yeah, I made it a game. I made sure that the CPU knew I was there, and that I was coming. I did get some cheap deaths in that game. I will say that, though. There were some more of those, one-hit goblin kills where I was like, you know what? I'm pretty sure I'm better than this, So it's going to take some time. I'm going to have to invest in this game. There is a learning curve. We will say that because, if you're playing against human opponents, then definitely, just, go full bore, enjoy it, have fun, do what you do, face off against each other, knowing that, like, your skill will be what your skill will be. And you're going to have a lot of fun with it. Like, multiplayer Archon is one of the best things. It is. It's just one of the best things in gaming. Unfortunately, I'm reviewing this late at night, so I don't have people that I can sit down with and be like, okay, you play the opposing side. Let's do this multiplayer. Here we go. Also, there's up to 4-player mode. What? You can play 4-player, and you can play like 2 light and 2 dark? And so it just becomes, multiple people, and you can have a situation where you have a battle with more than 2 pieces in it if you're playing multiplayer. because I've seen some of that footage when I've been looking more closely at the game. So yeah, there's some stuff that you can do here that you can't do with old school Atari 800 XL Archon or Archon on the NES. Like, there are some things that you can do with this game that you cannot do with the other one, and that's kind of awesome. Yeah, I don't love the load times of the individual matches. They are entirely too long, like stupid long. I have a computer that is fast enough to load this pretty quickly. And as a matter of fact, yeah, I'm pretty sure my 2010 computer would not have liked the load times either. So in 2010, I was rocking, it was a machine I built myself, had that AMD quad-core Phenom 2 Black Edition. Oh yeah, that was a processor back in the day. Oh, you knew it was made for gaming. They're like, it's the Black Edition. It came in a metal case. It made it look like military hardware. You're like, oh, this processor is serious. The things we did in 2010. I should have been playing this game in 2010, bringing it back around. I should have played this game in 2010. But I will tell you what, I would have been frustrated by the load times even back then. So, that is something to keep in mind. The load times here are not your friend. But the rest of it is really good. It's really highly playable, and like, when I say playable, I mean playable as a reasonable way to play Archon. And I say that as someone who has Archon. Like, an actual physical copy of the game for the Atari 800 XL that I'm now looking at again, that I need to get set up once I finish getting my computer room all the way set up. I'm gonna get that set up again. Don't you worry. Don't you even worry. I know you were worried. Don't worry. I'm gonna get it set up. This is true. Anyway, but like, as someone who has the original in hard copy form, I'm telling you that I am still like, hey, I get it. This is a perfectly fine way to play this game. As a matter of fact, you know, I might spend some time playing it with my son here before too long. Because, you know, he likes chess and he might really enjoy this. So, yeah, we're going to give it a go. We're going to give it a shot. I have to find another controller. But once I do, once I have another controller set up on this computer, then away we go. We can do it. We can play it. Anyway, yeah, it's really fun. The, other things that I'm not mentioning in terms of features of this new version. There is Conquest mode, where it puts you in little scenarios. So you have to win games of Archon, but they're like, very often, like, it puts you on a world map and you have to, you know, conquest your way across the world map. And it gives you a bronze, a silver, or a gold in terms of how well you did in that portion of the conquest. And so, like, yeah, there's a lot of achievements and unlockables if those are things that you care about. I don't know if I do. Maybe I'll play Conquest someday, but like, I am here for the original version of the game, if I'm being entirely honest. And the original version of the game is here. And they do have the classic mode pieces where you can have them look like they looked on all the old consoles. Actually, I think they're based on the C64 models, if I'm being entirely honest, because they don't quite look like the Atari ones. So, you know, there's that. I'm a total Atari snob. Like, that's what I was raised with. I've never touched a Commodore 64. I have had many chances, but I've never physically touched one. It's like, I don't know, something, it's a bridge too far somehow. It's not how I was raised. Anyway, regardless. But yeah, this is a perfectly fine way to play this game, and so, like, for me to say that, it's saying a lot. Like, I enjoyed this more than I thought I would. I was prepared to be disappointed because of, like, how much I love the original and how worried I was that this wouldn't have this certain je ne sais Archon of the original. Like, I didn't know if it would be it, and indeed it is it. Well, I've blathered on long enough. Oh, it's not exactly it, people. It's not 100% it, but it's close. As I was saying, I blathered on long enough. Let's put a final score on it and be done. Okay, so I just had to do a whole bunch of design work because I lost a bunch of my files. Sweet. Moving. Anyway, so yeah, the Gaming Badger is going to declare the final score for Archon Classic to be 9 out of a possible 10 fingers not touching C64s. I can't touch that Commodore. I haven't thus far, so it would be weird if I did all of a sudden, right? You know, I'm 44. I've had so many opportunities to touch a Commodore 64. I never have. So, yeah. Anyway, fun facts about the world and me. But yeah, so it's a really good game. It's almost perfect. Archon Classic, go out and get it. I highly recommend it. It's a solidly playable version of one of my all-time favorite games. So, there you go. That's it, and it's the easiest to, like, get and play. So, otherwise, like, yeah. Gotta buy some old consoles to be able to play the original versions. So anyway, people, that's gonna do it for this one. I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye.